everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Two, where it's our show where we usually review things episode by episode basis for currently on air shows. We are about to begin our Under the Banner of Heaven episode reviews for the next 7 weeks, I believe. This is a 7-episode show. I was very, so if you don't know anything about me, I've been reviewing TV shows on a week-to-week basis since 2019. So kind of not a veteran, but I'm not an amateur. I'm not immature. I've done many of shows before, superhero show, regular dramas, mostly CW, comedies, etc. I've done a lot. I've done more than over 300 episodes of the show. 300 episodes of my show currently so far. And so for me, like for this one, like I always wanted to jive out of my comfort zone. I want to do something new. I always wanted to. Always, every year, like, what is something brand new that is normally not something I would like, but to give it a chance, like, see, maybe I like something, like, like, to take a risk with something, take a risk, sometimes you're the best shows are the shows that you never really expect there to be much of a connection for you to enjoy. In this instance, for Under the Banner of Heaven, I am aware this was adapted from a novel that had mostly inspiration based on a real-life case, back in the 70s, I believe, if my timetables are correct. And now the book has finally got a proper adaptation starring the one and only Andrew Garfield, or as I like to call him, the Amazing Peter #3. And yes, but here's the thing that before you say, oh, you only know him as Spider-Man. Like, I watched his other works. I watched Tick, Tick, Boom, which was amazing in my opinion. But for me, like, I know after No Way Home, like, all the Spider-Men are worthy of my treatment in terms of, if they were to transition to TV at some point, I would review it. Ironically, I did see Andrew Garfield on Doctor Who, which me and my normal co-host, Isis George, we're doing an every Doctor Who series reviewed, and he was, I believe, in series 3, so he was in that review, so we mentioned him quite a bit. So it's not my first time seeing Andrew Garfield on the small screen, but definitely this is the first time I'm seeing it after everything he's done with Spider-Man, and now with Tick, Tick, Boom, which I swear to God, I have no idea why he didn't win an Oscar for that, but whatever, that's just my taste, that's just my opinion. Don't worry about that. So here, going into this show, I honestly went in with no expectation. I didn't even see a trailer. I knew of the title. I knew of the background, and there was a lot of religion stuff that they were going to tackle in this, and I was curious to see it because I knew nothing of the source material. I don't know nothing about the source material. Like, literally, I'm letting the show be the main thing that's going to teach me. Where 2020 I did Perry Mason, and 2021 I did Heels, and I learned something a little bit about from those shows in terms of like actual real life things. Here, just beginning this story, and that's another great thing for me to do is that all the shows I've done so far have been season to season, so we would come back for another round of reviews the next year. This is a one and done. This is just adapting the novel, and that's it. There is no season 2. This is not one of those limited series becomes a full show. Absolutely not. This is just a one and done. But if it pulls a 13 Reasons Why, I'm going to flip myself. But anyway. So now going into the actual review itself, and also, sorry about that. I remember, like, there's other actors that I know. Sam Worthington's in here. Wyatt Russell, aka U.S. Agent's in here as well. I swear to God, there's the one guy who's in majority of the original suspect for the case, which I'll get to in a moment, our butchered recap. I swear to God, I recognize him from somewhere, but I don't remember him. Like, I know, it's like that face is so familiar. I've seen him somewhere. I don't remember what, but I'll eventually remember it as the show continues. I'll remember it eventually. I've been trying, but aching my brain. I just can't find the reason. I can't find the reason why I remember him. But anyway, reviewing into it. First impressions on the premiere 2 episodes of the show, so there'll be only 5 weeks more of content, which I thought this was very good. This was kind of like this felt like a movie at time where I felt the very much the cinematography. I felt much of the pacing to be on par with it, like an actual murder mystery movie. I thought it was great. I don't know why. I was expecting this to be, amazing. I don't know why I had that idea in my mind. Maybe because it's Andrew leading the cast and he's done such a great job with picking on his roles lately that I don't know. This is a great show so far. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's great. I was expecting a little bit more, and I think it's just because I'm still figuring out the plot. I'm still figuring out the pieces, and it's a mystery, so you're still left wondering who really did it, what's that player. And that's another thing why I picked this show to review is it's a murder mystery at the end of the day, where We'll get to the overall plot in a second, but it revolves around this a wife and a daughter, sadly very young, that were killed one night. And of course, obviously, the husband's obviously a suspect, but then there's an entire family history that you gotta know about that we're still unraveling just even after the first 2 episodes. There's so much you need to learn and so much we don't even know so far. I mean, if you read the book, you probably know what the hell's gonna happen, but for me, I have not read the book. And I'm at this point where, like, I want to wait till next week. I can't wait to see what next week's episode's gonna bring. But I'm not like that super, like, oh my god, I need to know right away, so I'm gonna go online to Spark Notes or something or figure out what happened next in the book. I could do that, but I'm not gonna. I want to let the show kind of demonstrate the story through this lens for me to unravel. And I think one of the reasons why is that I was actually surprised. Like, I don't know why. Again, this is another one of those, like, weird expectations I didn't expect to have. And then when the show was playing, I was actually surprised on how much not much of Andrew Garfield we got. And maybe that's just because me, like, I'm a big fan of Andrew Garfield, so I kind of was expecting him a little bit more. I think in most episodes, he was probably in, like, a good half of it, like, maybe a little bit more. We got a lot of flashbacks in those first 2 episodes, which isn't a bad way to tell your story. Especially one that's like you got to keep guessing about like what your potential suspects are and you know what their stories are and how does that connect to the main mystery. Like, is there a connection there? And there's still so much we don't know about. Like, they gave us so much information and so much history on the family in the first 2 episodes that I'm honestly curious how the hell are you gonna tell the rest of the 5 episodes. Like, I think you covered a lot of the bases so far, and I'm just wondering, like, what is next? What is the next thing that they're gonna throw at us? And by the time I ended episode 2, I was very much enthralled. I was very much like, I have some guesses, but I really don't know who it could be yet. It's still a little early to tell, I think. But overall, I think it's great so far. I think it's on to a great start. Hopefully it'll become amazing. No pun intended by the end of it. But so far, Andrew Garfield and the cast are doing a really, really good job, and they're doing a great job telling the story. So, as always, whenever I do these episode-to-episode reviews, so week to week, I normally do a butcher recap, which I recap the episode, or in this case, episodes we just saw, and kind of give my thought process, my review on the order of the sequence of events, and then give my overall ending thoughts at the end once everything's been collected and such. Considering the fact I have 2 episodes to review, oh boy, again, go watch Under the Banner of Heaven right now on Hulu, because I'm about to get into spoilers, very rough spoilers, because my brain is and it's Hulu, so like the episodes are 44 minutes long, but yeah, I have the ad version, so I have to constantly wait a while, so it was a full 2 hours experience, and I came back home late, so let's go for the butcher recap and talk about the premiere episode of Under the Banner of Heaven. I might just call this Banner of Heaven. I'll say the full name. Never mind. So, a good thing off the bat, because again, I have no knowledge of the source material. I have no knowledge of the book itself. But I honestly thought this was going to be some sort of tragedy with the detective that, oh, he had daughters, he had a family, and then he lost them. And then he's just this disgruntled detective who's just like, who's got on the case, on a bad case again. But no, he's a happy man, happy family man. He's got his 2 daughters, his lovely wife, his ailing mother, but still very much lively, living life in a very quiet suburban town. And I believe they said it's either Ohio or Utah. I forgot what state they're at. I want to say it's Ohio, but I'll double check by next week. So, another big thing to know about is like the entire theme of this, not the entire theme, like the whole backbone of it is Mormons. This is a Mormon family, which, from what I understand, and again, this is another thing like I love learning as I watch shows or movies, is that teach me as I go. So from what I understand, Mormons are kind of like Catholic, where like men are doing the actual, like, the job, the providing, you know, they're allowed to work, and the wives are just doing the menial tasks, just, you know, not having a career, not that sort. They're just focusing on, you know, just providing for the family, being the family giver, while the man is taking care of like the real business. I think that's how it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be misstepping there a little bit, but so that's how it operates, and that's kind of how this family is. Where Jeb, Andrew Garfield's character, is the main provider. He's the breadwinner. He's the detective, the investigator in the small town, and you know he's getting called in to a murder case that just happened. So he's off with the races, and his wife's a bit concerned since you know it's the day before their daughter's birthday, and he promised that he would get a birthday cake ready for her, and him being on a case meaning that there could be a chance where he has to be not able to do it. But he's like, don't worry. He'll be fine. Before he leaves, he has to say prayer with his mother because that's just their family tradition. That's just the way of their religion. And now he's off to the races. So he gets off to the house. He sees a police officer kind of just sitting in the front porch, kind of like baffled at what he saw. Jeb takes a moment to collect himself and goes in, and he finds slowly but surely a very bloody murder scene. The wife's in the bed in the kitchen floor, dead. I think she was strangled to death. There was a lot of blood from what you could saw. You didn't see the full body, but it was really, really bad. Jeb is trying to like figure out what could happen. He's looking for like the wires. He's looking for like any potential like murder weapons. This was a very personal attack that we can gather from. And then he goes into the daughter's bedroom, and sadly he finds the little girl dead, which hurts him the most because he has his own daughter. So imagine how he would be like if he walked home and he found his daughter's dead, and especially it's a 15-month baby, barely even beginning. This show does not pull its punches. It really doesn't. Just they didn't show the baby. They didn't show the dead baby. I was like very thankful. They would have definitely like pulled on some more heartstring, but you can feel in Jeb that he has an emotional connection to this. And I was actually wondering like the way the flashbacks were starting, like this was like a little bit confusing for me at the start. Like, wait, did Jeb have an affair with this lady? It's like, oh no, so she was a Mormon too. Like her family were part of the Mormon community in their town. So they got to see each other at the sessions. So Jeb was aware of this person, but he wasn't really close to them. So he heads outside. He meets up with his partner, the chief, and they talk about the case. About no, that hasn't happened yet. So he meets up with the officer. They're trying to like just get the evidence collection team to come in and just kind of like they'll take it from there. They're trying to find any leads, trying to find the husband, and immediately they look outside. They find the husband covered in blood, and they just assume the worst. They arrest him right away and they bring him to the station to get questioned. He talks to the chief about the case, giving him the basic facts, and the chief's like, "This is an easy case. Get the husband to confess. We signed the deal. Boom, we're done. We'll be home by breakfast." But Jeb's like, no, he's a Mormon, like, so I could definitely connect to him. So let me talk to him and see if I can get something out of him. Maybe he can give us like a clue to the real killer, if there is another killer, or if he's not the killer. Let's say that. So they head to the room. The guy's pretty much in shock still from seeing his wife and daughter dead, presumably by him, but we don't know that for sure. Jeb's trying to like connect to him on the connection of they're both Mormons, trying to connect for their religion. It's somewhat working a little bit, but of course his partner's not about that religion life, so he's a little bit more dead set on like, hey, just a minute, hey, husbands killing their wives. It's a very common thing nowadays. And, but it's not budging. Jeb wants to give him a fair chance to try and figure it out. He's giving very cryptic answers, this dude, the familiar guy. Oh yeah, by the way, the entire family's name, I'm going to butcher this last name throughout this first couple of episodes. So, my apology. I can't even pronounce it. The Lefrays, I believe that's their name. The Lefrays. I'm gonna call them Lefrays. I apologize if that is the incorrect pronunciation. I'll get it right next week. So he's one of the sons of the Lefray family. His wife was Brenda, that I remember, and their little daughter. He's giving very vague answers about like, well, what did your wife have an affair, or did you kill your wife? Did you kill your daughter? Like, what, do you know who did it? And all he's able to tell them is that, you're wasting your time interrogating me. There are people outside, the bearded men, the men with beards. They're responsible for that. They're getting away with this, and you're trying to interrogate me. And obviously, like, this is a deranged man, like not 100% in his mindset, covered in blood, presumably his wife and child, and so I wouldn't be surprised if the police are just not taking him seriously, that they're just waiting for like the confession or whatsoever. They don't really get anywhere. Jeb they pull out for a moment. Jeb and the chief conceive a bit like the chief wants to go in there without Jeb, try to just be a cold, brash detective, see if he can get some dirt on him. Jeb is still like, the only thing Jeb tells him is that, well, I don't know if this was before or after the scene, but I know Jeb does tell him on the side, like, hey, can you not inform the parents yet about their daughter's death and their granddaughter's death? I want to be able to have all the facts in order so that I only have to make one call, give them all the information they need, and move on. Which the chief's like, okay, fine, I can do that for you. So he adds back in. He said he's being a little bit more brash and everything. It's working a tad bit more, but Jeb gets a little uncomfortable, like the way they're bringing up certain aspects, and then Jeb kind of becomes this very nice, natural detective, like a little bit more of an edge, just a little bit more, using their religion still to his advantage, saying that, like, are you sure, like, you know, you love your wife, so it's like, if you can't admit it right now, then I don't know what religion you believe in. And that's kind of like where things start unraveling a little bit. We start to get more information about the whole matter. But before we get to the big exposition drop about the LaFreys, Jeb gives his wife a call, trying to see if they can like dig up anything, because the way that Jeb is saying is like, oh, is my family being hunted? Like, you need to make sure all my family members are safe, and he's not really giving any direct answers on where his family is now, because there's been some strained history there. So there really isn't much information they can gather on. So Jeb, because of their connection with the Mormon community, he asked his wife to try and figure out if they can make any sort of connection to other LaFreys in the area, see where they are at. So she goes off to do that. And there's another thing where another subplot where the mom is kind of like slowly becoming a little bit beyond their care. Like, she's becoming to the age of, like, you know, she needs some professional help, like, to take care of her, because even though Jeb and his wife could take care of her, they have 2 daughters, and that's already enough of a challenge as this. So to add that, it would be a lot. But that's hopefully they'll tackle that back on another episode. So I think the only other thing I can remember is I know that Chief goes back to the crime scene. He goes to check in on something, and then that's where he makes the call. Oh no, he checks up on another LaFrey's house. They found one other LaFrey's location. They go to the house, and a lot of things were set on fire in the backyard, and there were some very striking things in the house. But when he was there, he made the call to the parents, Brenda, that, hey, your daughter, she's dead. Your granddaughter, she's dead. Just letting you know that. And Jeb's not happy with that, since he wanted to be the one. Now he has to make a secondary call where the people they're already grieving. They would have had the full closure already when the case was solved, but the chief was already like, listen, I had to do it. I had to get the connections. I had to actually get some real proof going over there. So it is what it is. It's what I had to do. So this is where we get our first big LaFrey history drop. So first on Brenda's case, Brenda was I think she had a different religion, I believe. I forgot what it was. I don't know if it was Mormon too or something different. So she celebrated that, and her family was very old fashioned, very conservative. Like, they wanted, her, like, they would allow her to explore her dreams, but they would rather for her to stay local and be around family and find her partner here. But she was more like, oh, I want to go to Salt Lake City. I want to, like, actually move to the city and, like, you know, get some real experience, you know, not to be stuck in this small town. Her parents were a little bit, like, iffy on it. Like, they weren't 100% like saying you can't do this, but it was still very much at times that, we don't really feel comfortable you doing that. We really don't. It's something we can shelve another day. At some point, she met the LaFrey that I sort of I recognize him from somewhere, but I really can't remember him for the life of me. At some point, they started dating, they started going out, and then it came to the point where they had a big family, like, picnic, a family, like, lunch outdoors at the family house, and, you know, consider the fact that he's very serious about her, and he considers her to be, like, his future wife and everything. He takes her there to introduce her to his massive family, not just his mom and dad, but, like, his multiple brothers who have their own wives and their own kids. And then there's that one, like, very socially awkward LaFrey, I think the youngest of the bunch, who's not there mentally. He's not there, so it's I think he's going to be a player. I mean, they don't really get to play him too much after this episode, but I have a feel he's going to be a big player here. So we get to meet the other LaFreys. There's Sam Worthington's LaFrey. There's Wyatt Russell's LaFrey. I think there's one more other one in there, and then you have the younger one, the 5th one. So they're all having a nice family dinner, you know, enjoying themselves. Like, you know, we are the LaFreys. We believe in our religion. I think they're all Mormons. So I'm like, yeah, they're all Mormons. So, like, they're just very much solidifying that. But before they're able to, like, truly enjoy their feast, I think a fellow neighbor shows up asking for help. I think he's being kicked off his land or something. So he needs some help moving out his stuff. So they all decide to volunteer and do that the next day. So they head off over there. And this was kind of the beginning of the cracks within Brenda's relationship with the LaFreys, as Brenda was part of her religion, but she was very much beginning to, like, be one of those, well, we can make exceptions here or here. Like, I could maybe do this thing instead of like following this path, that sort of thing. Like, she was willing to break tradition or bend it a little bit to satisfy what she was thinking of. So one of the things was like, the men were obviously doing all the hard work. The women were like giving them drinks, giving them food, like, fueling them up as they, went along this job. And then at some point Brenda just gets in there and just starts like being like an actual like man and like helping them out a little bit. And at first, like, everyone's like, she's kind of cool, like she's actually helping us out. But the women were like, I don't know, you're not supposed to do this, you're supposed to like stay back over here, with us. So that was a little bit concerning for them to deal with. It's not really much they focus on in the moment, as after they're all done with their job, the patriarch, the father of this family, announces that he and his wife have been invited to go on a mission for a couple years, somewhere in the States. So that means he's gonna have to let go of the family, the family business, the family house, like, but he still wants everything to be absolutely the same when he comes back. Like, he's worked too hard to like just leave to finally do something he's been waiting for almost his entire life, and to just come back later and just have nothing really to show for it. So he's tasking Wyatt Russell's LaFrey to take over the family business, the family house, basically become the new family patriarch while he's away. And he expects him to like properly keep things going so that when he comes back, he can pick it up where he left off. So Wyatt's LaFrey is very happy about it, but the Sam Worthington's LaFrey, I believe, is the one in particular. He's not happy. He should have been picked because he's the oldest, but he didn't. It sucks. He gets a little bit bothered by it. His mother tries to comfort him, but at the end of the day, in this type of family, whatever the dad says, it's what the dad gets. I want to say we cut to the day of the move itself. They're just getting the arrangement order, just making sure the transition of power, that the entire house is exactly the same how it goes. There was a scene where Brenda tries to take care of the youngest LaFrey of the regular core siblings. That is, he has some blood in his hand from a squirrel he found, and we don't know if he killed or not. But he's very emotionally unresponsive, and he's just standing there with blood in his hand. And Brenda's trying his best to like clean it up with her very nice white clothing. I know like she's very nice. I'm like, come on, not your white clothing. It's going to be pink after you wash it, and that's the old days. Anyway. So they say goodbye. They're off on their thing. They give them a phone card for them to use, like, only just in case of, like, if it really is important to call him. Otherwise, don't bother us. We don't want to hear from you for 2 years. Get the hell out of our lives. So the next generation of LaFreys take over. They're in charge now. So, which is it's not easy work. So the oldest of the two have to take over the family chiropractor business, which they operate outside under their basement. So they have to take over the business as well as take over the house arrangement. Everyone's basically living at the house right now. I think even Brenda is too at times, but we know that she's still studying at the university in Birmingham. I forgot what the name is. It starts with a B. I know that. Where she's studying to be a journalist, to be on TV and actually report the news and stuff like that. And her family and the LaFrey family is very much not supportive of it because, yeah, like, the younger, the one that I'm talking about here, like, he's telling them, like, she's good. Like, she wants a family. She wants to be a mom. She wants to be the caregiver. But everyone's like, well, okay, that's good, but why is she in the university for journalism? Why is she doing this? Like, this is not the way. She should be getting ready to get married, have children. Get ready for that. Like, get your general studies out of the way and then start focusing on raising a family. That's kind of what they're expecting her to do, but she's not. She's not doing that. Am I stepping? I think I passed. I passed. I leaved into episode 2 a little bit, I believe. So let's just, let's take a pause. Let's jump back over to the actual thing. So eventually they do get a lead on another LaFrey that was sighted nearby at a local motel. So they head in. They find some mysterious light. They go in. They find a wife with a bunch of kids. And we obviously know if they have a lot of kids, it's definitely a LaFrey. So they look outside the motel window. He's running away. So they go after him very quickly, mind you. It is not a long chase sequence. They find him after he escapes for a fence. They find him praying to God, and they immediately arrest him. And he has a whole beard on, so And I think Mormons are supposed to be clean shaven, I believe. So that's another thing. So like there is some precedence to what the other Lefray is saying about, it's the men with beards that are the ones who did this, which now means his actual family did this. So that's a little bit of a alarm for concern, in my opinion. So they arrest him, and then they hand him back over to the precinct. The chief pulls aside Jeb to say, like, hey, look, if the Lefrays know you're a detective and you're investigating this case, they might go after your family if they really did kill a wife and children. So your kids and wife are definitely not safe if they go after you. So go back to them, take care of them, just spend time with them. So he does. He has a little nice talk with his mom about heaven, about the whole, when you die, like, if you've done everything right, you basically have an eternal afterlife of just spending the rest of your spiritual life with the people you love. And I always believed in that. I always believed in that too. But the mom's starting to say some things of like, I'm ready to go. I want to be with your dad again. I'm just ready. And Jeb's like not agree, because like obviously like that's his mom. Like he doesn't want her to go yet. Like it's gonna happen at some point, but not when you wanted it to. Like that sort of thing. I believe that's where we end around episode 1, I believe. I know we jump into episode 2 at some point around here. I know Jeb immediately heads back over to the case in the first thing in the morning. He heads up the chief back in one of the nearby neighbors' house of Brenda and that Lefray's house, and she cooperates with what the other Lefray saying that there were some men with beards that show up to the house and that sort of thing. So now there is some precedence there's getting some traction going over there. So they head back to the station to interrogate the other Lefray, and we get more of the Lefray backstory to what happened after he and Wyatt's Lefray took over the chiropractor business. It was not doing well. It really wasn't. Every one of their clients preferred their dad's method of doing chiropractic, and the new way that they're trying to implement is just not working for them. They do not like it at all. They're leaving their business, and the Lefrays are slowly losing money. Even I think Wyatt's wife is trying to actually reduce prices so they can at least get some sort of business in, but he's like, nope, we can't do that. That said, keep it exactly the same, because once you change it and you try to go back, they're not going to come back as well. So they leave it there. She's a little bit concerned. Her and Brenda start to bond a little bit about, how that Lefray wife used to have like the voice of God in her head, the voice of the spirit, like guide her down these paths, even though some paths were entirely questionable. But Brenda's like, well, no, sometimes the voice is you're rooting yourself on. So just do what you think is right. And, you go from it from there. But things do not work, or start to like crack a little bit. Slowly but surely, all the Lefrays are kind of like going against Brenda. They're not really liking what Brenda's been recommending or what's saying or what she's doing. One creepy thing I will mention is that she's at one of her classes for journalism, actually studying to be in front of the camera as this practice thing. She talks to her professor about like, well, why do women get passed over for anchor gigs than men? And he's like, honest, like, yeah, well, people who are watching want an authority figure. They want someone who knows what they're talking about, someone they can trust to say the news so they can move on with their lives. Which honestly, like, I mean, yeah, well, obviously we live in 2022 now, so like times have definitely changed. I know anyone can be an anchor, but like the way of thinking back then was kind of like really, like it's incredibly dated. I'll say that. I know there was another creepy moment where like she's trying to like do a demo reel for him, trying to like see like if she is anchor material. He's being a little creepy about it. Oh, give us a big smile, like really doing like Jesus. I mean, maybe it's the 2022 mindset in me, but like yeah, that definitely would not fly now. That definitely would not. Like you have the option to smile or not. You don't really have to. That creepy thing aside, so back on the Lefray side, they're losing a lot of business. They're not being able to keep up with the bills. And so I think they come to a day where they see the police leaving their property, and they go inside. They find a bunch of tax agents there looking to repossess certain assets to pay off the taxes. And Wyatt Lefray is very much angered. He's very much, he's beginning to lose his marbles, since he was expecting God to like make sure everything is the same, that everything's all right, that nothing changes, and everything is changing right in front of him, and he's not being happy about it. He goes crazy. I think he gets electrocuted with a taser at some point. So because his eyes started to go red and he started to go into shock, no pun intended. And it's not a good look for him that nothing's going to plan. They're not even close to when their dad's supposed to come back yet, and they all believe like this is all a test from God, like to stay the current path, and the reward is we will all be fine in the end, and that's what they all believe. And I'm like, look, you believe in what you believe in. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. That's all I'm going to say. I think that's the end of that storyline for now. I don't think we get any more other information with the other Lefrays going forward. That's kind of like what one of the older Lefrays are telling Jeb about while they're doing the interrogation. Jeb eventually switches his focus back onto the other Lefray who they had for a while. He had his clothes changed. He's kind of had some time to like really relax a bit and kind of like, just de-stress a little bit about everything. And he starts to get more of the story about, just in general, like it's not always been peachy for, him and Brenda. When he met Brenda's parents, her parents were very much against him. Like he was just not fitting what they expected her husband to be. And they're just giving her the advice like, yeah, just cut him and move on. Like, it would not hurt you that much to like find someone else. And she's not willing to do it. Like, she loves him. He's going to be the child of their kid at some point. So, he's got accepted. But even that love phrase is very well aware that the dad and mom do not like him that much. So he's trying to play with Brenda's younger siblings outside, and they actually like catch something on fire that starts to burn up. Thankfully, they put it out quickly. And it wasn't really a good, firm standing between them, like him and Brenda's dad. It really wasn't, You really have to make a good impression on the in-laws or the future in-laws when you first meet them, because you never know. You want to be on the right foot when you ask for the blessing. And I'm presuming he never got the blessing, so that is that. I know we got another subplot going on behind where the chief is hitting up the mountain range because he's trying to look for clues about he's just trying to look for clues about like the other Lefrays on where they're hiding out at. So he heads up there. He finds a girl just wandering the woods, and then eventually he just asks, I think the Mounties, I believe that's what their name is. The national park. I think it's a national park. I don't know. The person who's in charge of that area, the forest area. He goes up with them to go and find out where the heck these people are. They find a lot of destroyed trees all over the place. And according to the guy, yeah, that's all from them. And it's like, well, where are they? It's like, listen, I don't mess with them. I really don't. Like, yeah. The only reason I stay alive this long, just walk away. Just walk away. Let whatever happens happen, which is not entirely a good way of thinking or a good thing of living. But, you gotta do what you gotta do. So that's all I'll say on that front. The chief does eventually get caught in a kind of like a little bit of steep mope when he's running after the girl he saw. But eventually he gets his footing back and he finds a cabin in the woods with a gunshot in it, and he looks inside and there's a barrel on the other end. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing, because again, go watch the episode. This is a very bad butchered recap, but you kind of get into a semblance of me. Okay, so there's a bunch of like Mormon history thrown in there as well. So about how the Book of Mormon came about, how that entire sub religion started up. I know in episode 2 they made like one of those crucial points where one of the big things like overseas was to have people come to America, and that's how you experience the true religion. And I think it was the guy who wrote the book itself or someone akin to it. He arrives at this small town, and immediately he starts seeing the problems and starting seeing the old-fashioned ways. He's trying to figure like the one thing I was like really like, oof, you guys really are gonna go that far, or they're gonna go that far, is that they have a dog in like a choking position with a rope, and I felt so uncomfortable. I really did. And there's a little kid crying because he made a mistake because the dog apparently killed a sheep or a lamb, and the owners are not happy with it, so they want to kill the dog as retribution. So this guy, I forgot if it is Joe or Joseph or not, but he heads up to the guys and like, hey, look, it doesn't have to be this, let them go, let them go, and he's trying to convince them. He even gets his pocket watch as like kind of like collateral, like, hey, look, I will pay back this kid's loan. Don't worry about it. Like, just let the dog go. Let the suffering end. They took it the wrong way and they shot the dog dead. And I'm like, oh God, these people. If they didn't have guns, I would whoop their asses, because they deserve an ass whooping. But the people of the town did not like Joe or his family at all. They do not believe in his ways. And eventually, at some point, they get him on a charge of, we saw you commit adultery with another person across town, and we have now witness testimony. So we're either gonna chop off your balls or we're gonna chop off your tongue for not. Which I'm like, Jesus, y'all are fucking old fashioned, and y'all deserve to fucking get slapped. I mean, I would slap them because no, like, you don't do that to someone. You don't in general. That's not human. It isn't. But thankfully, the doctor who was supposed to like medically cut these parts off and humanely and without him dying, backs out of it because he just does not believe in this, and he allows him and his family to escape and get the hell out of there. They stole a lot of guns on their way out apparently, so that's a good thing to note. So they head out into the vast unknown with no house, no money, no sense of direction. Which again, back in those times, I can imagine being scared as hell, like not knowing where you're going, just getting to where you need to go on a horse-ridden carriage. It's a scary thing. It's a very scary thing. I believe I want to say the episode ends with Jeb and another cop noticing that like the other LaFrey who knocked out after he told a little bit more of his story to Jeb, starts screaming in his cell, and everyone starts running over to try and figure out what's going on with this dude. Like, is he all right? That sort of thing. And I believe, that's it. That was the end of the episode. I can't think of anything else that was missed or that I missed. But yeah, I think that was it. I think that was it for this week on Under the Banner of Heaven. I thought it was great, this entire episode so far. I think everyone like delivered a really great performance. Very surprised on that for me, the ratio is we got a little bit more LaFrey than Andrew Garfield. So I think that should be okay. I guess it's just me like hoping, like, because I love Andrew Garfield so much, that we would just get, more of him as the episodes progress, which I think we kind of do. But like, I don't know, the LaFrey flashbacks, there was a lot to digest and there was a lot to understand and to get, especially when you're balancing basically three storylines: the Mormon storyline, the actual storyline of the show, and then the LaFrey's backstory stuff. Like, there's a lot for them to do, but so far they're doing it right. Like, there's a nice balance. It's not a perfect balance, but it's a nice balance. Let's say that. I think Andrew Garfield delivers a great performance as Jeb. I think it's so weird. Like, I remember like the awkwardness for me, like watching Tick Tick Boom for the first time, and I've only seen him as Spider-Man. Like, it was just so weird to see him do something else, and it worked. It worked, and like, I didn't even think of Peter Parker when I saw that one. This is another case where I just don't think he's Peter Parker. He's just an average guy who believes in religion and who loves his family and wants to do his job. That's basically it. And it works. It really works. He didn't have to get too crazy with the performance. It was very believable, his performance. I'll say that much. I still think it felt like they did a lot of like the background stuff already, but I still have a feeling we're going to get more down the road. Because again, it's only 7 episodes, so they're telling a one and done story, so I'm not surprised in that case. Now, on to a little section. Oh, by the way, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. Amazing. I enjoyed it. Go watch it. Before we get into our ending rigmarole and wrap it up for the night. So when I used to do Nancy Drew episode, I still did, but back then when we were doing like the big whodunit segment of the first season, I always did this like little thing, and I can't believe I haven't done this since 2020. That's how old this bit is. I'm bringing it back in 2022. It's like, Joe's Mystery Corner, Joe's Mystery Corner. Who did it? Who did it? We don't know who did it. So for me, I think right now my expectation is Wyatt Russell's LaFrey probably did it. He probably committed the murder, but that's very emotionally awkward one. When we saw in episode 1, I think he might have another thing to do. I don't think we know more of their story yet. Like, Brenda was like being a little bit too close for him because she wanted to be included in the family. So her caring for this one brother definitely was like one of her responsibilities. So that's what I think. We'll figure it out soon. Like, we have 5 weeks to go. Like, we're gonna find this out eventually. This isn't gonna take that long to figure it out. But yeah. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the premiere episode, and who do you think killed Brenda and the beautiful little girl of a child. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you about it down there. And that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in under the banner of heaven. You can find our brand new review series each and every Friday or Saturday, depending on our time slot. We'll let you know on Twitter on what date slot it is for the week. If you are unaware, we do other shows on 1 to the 2, such as our rookie episode reviews and our Walker episode reviews, so go check them out right there. But if you like me talking about stuff in the world of television, especially this show, please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring that bell for notification when our next review is live. Like, favorite, share of this review if you want to. Please also share us everywhere you go. Follow us on social media to stay updated with any sort of updates we may have for the channel. But until we see each other again, for all you, I usually say a regular, but this is a limited series. So I'm like, I don't know. It was going to be a little bit. I'll see y'all next week. I'll just say that. I'll see y'all next week for the next episode review. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is going to be a very nice, tight journey. One and done. It's going to be a very fun 8 weeks. So hopefully you'll join me along for the whole 8 weeks. But until we see each other again next week, stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.